We are rolling.
Back, baby.
Welcome to Tastebuds Company. I'm one half of the host, Shaw Infinite.
Open the gates up in here. What it do?
Open the gates. And today on our show, we have my Georgia peach don't fuck with peaches.
Oh, damn.
Her apple bottom leave me speechless. Oh, no.
Oh, so you ready for the feast?
Applebee's in the building. I'm super fucking ready for the feast. You already know.
Off slappetizers and teas after 10 p.m. You know what I'm saying?
Right?
Going in.
Yeah.
Seeing as we just introed you with the title track, let's talk about it. Happiness. The album.
Man.
All streaming platforms, right? On your favorite streaming platform.
Yeah. You can find it everywhere.
But the most favorite has been Spotify, right?
Yeah. That's the because it's transparent. You know what I'm saying? So every time, like with everything nowadays, like Spotify's become.
Let's give a low key flex. It's almost at 6 million. Streams on Spotify. Yes. Let's celebrate Appleby with that.
It's doing slight numbers, man. More than anything, like it's been kind of cool because it's been like a year and a half, and to still see people discovering it now, each day kind of is like a reminder that you've made an impact of some kind.
Yeah.
And when you're kind of working on like what's next, you can get in that dark hole where you feel like you haven't done anything, and then you get like that DM or that message, that email, and they're like, "Yo, this song got me through today," and it's like, okay,
it's a nice reminder.
Yeah. So it feels good.
I think that's the number one thing like artists can get.
Over
money. Like money's tight, but like to really like touch someone's heart.
I mean, I realized that when I first started, man. Like first it was kind of about like 50 plays, and it was like 100 plays, and it was like 1,000 plays, and then somewhere in there I got like my first like response to somebody being like, "Yo, man, I really needed this song." And
let's start there. Let's talk about your journey in music because you're from Chicago.
Well, kind of. So I started by playing tennis. I grew up playing tennis.
Nice.
So I started when I was 5. Started traveling the state when I was 8. Country by 10. World by 12. So it was life for sure.
You grew up fast and a little bit, got to travel.
So at a certain point, I started mentally checking out, and I'd be in tournaments, and sometimes I'd win, sometimes I'd lose. But the times I'd lose, bro, I'd be in the bathroom crying for hours.
Wow!
Just because like when you lose and you mentally check out, you feel like you're blaming yourself that you lost based off of a checkout.
Right.
But in the middle of the checkout, you're like, I don't want to be here anyway. That kind of leaned into me stepping away from tennis, and then I lost sight of who I was as a person because my identity was wrapped up in tennis. So when that kind of happens, you don't realize that it was your purpose because it was just what you love to do.
Wow.
So I spent about 2.5 years trying to figure myself out, figure out life, figure out exactly how I just phrase things. And then you realize you need something to help you get through your days. And I turned to music for other people's music, and it always helped me. And then one day I decided to start writing music based off of an artist or two, and then you start, and it's healthy. You're getting through your days and things like that, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, I want to try and make this official.
That's very dope, bro. Because when our first reactions to the project have been, it's just it reflects an escapism. Just a safe space. Like when you listen to your music, I understand that you're creating a space for your listener to be as vulnerable with themselves as possible.
Absolutely.
And to just grow in that space of self-discovery, man. It reminds me of like camping music.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Crazy.
Like just to get away from all the turmoil, just to break away.
Turn the phone off.
Right? Gato and I were joking before. We said you sound like Black Buffett.
No, I was saying like that's
no,
that's such an honor anyway.
But man, like we definitely get the vibe that when you were creating this project, you really just wanted to invite the listener in order to be like their most vulnerable selves. Can you talk about the process of making
absolutely.
the music?
Absolutely. So
just connect with you in a way.
Absolutely. I mean, for the project itself, what's interesting is that like it was a transitional sound for me from what I used to do previously. So a lot of what happiness was just the self-discovery of me being like, oh, I can be genuine, and I made it like in a much smaller bubble.
Okay.
And you start making these songs and you start holding them tighter because you're not really creating for the sake of other people. You're creating for yourself, and so there's some sort of fear that kicks in of you being your most genuine self without it sounding like of the moment. Like it didn't sound like the person I was listening to. It didn't sound like what people thought was cool. So you start to fear if it's gonna work or not.
Just being abnormal.
Yeah.
And I can already imagine, right? Well, not being from Chicago, but you like growing up in that area, or just like, seeing the emergence of Chance and
absolutely,
and everyone around you, and just understanding that I might need to jump on that Chicago wave, in order to really pop. But going against the grain,
absolutely,
with a project like Happiness,
So you like you make that in your little bubble, and then all of a sudden you start playing it for people. And you start getting positive reactions. You start getting things like, oh, this sounds like it could be in like this commercial or this or that or whatever. And you're just like, oh, that's tight. And any of those different things like a Chance and Tastebuds, which are all like perennial like figures, no name and whatnot, that like let you know that people can make it. It's nice when you can be respected by those group of people, but not necessarily have to do exactly what they're doing. So
definitely.
I feel honored.
And there's no competition.
Everyone's
got their own lane.
There's enough space out there for it, and so 100%. Like I feel honored when you can kind of craft something on your own, away from everybody. And then it kind of work and be embraced by people in that circle. Or
that's like a life lesson, really. You don't really need to ride anyone else's wave, especially when you can create your own.
So I think the music itself, the underlying tone for it all is just me being me and accepting me being me and who I am, what I sound like, what I look like, and sharing that with people. And some people are gonna like it, some people are not, but I can't control the response to it. All I can control is me being me and giving that to the audience.
Thanks.
And I think like everyone out there, like that's their goal, to really figure out who you are. And I think that's also like when you really come into yourself and you can give it your all. Like there's no faking. It's like, this is me.
Well, and I think at the end of the day, I think that's the easiest thing, I think, for me personally to stick with, because you can craft a brand around what you're doing, and it can work. But my fear is it working so well that you lose sight of yourself, because your thing now is to be this brand.
You are a business.
Let's step back a little bit. You said like before you were crafting this type of music, you were doing something else. Speak on that. Like, what
absolutely.
Was that?
So when I first got into music, my entry point was an artist named Spooky Black, who now goes by Corbin. But it was a lot of down-tempo R&B. So it was that world, it was The Weeknd, and maybe Take Care version of Drake.
Okay.
So that was like my entry point. And then next thing you know,
we love Drake. We can talk about Drake for this whole podcast.
And so, then it kind of slid into adding a little bit more of a electronic tinge, rap-ish thing to it. And then all of a sudden, I started realizing it was working, but I wasn't being me. And I was always in the room thinking about how some other artists would approach it. And I recognized that it was working, but I wasn't being satisfied when people wanted more of that sound. It was just more like a one-off thing.
Like, I was just trying it out.
And this is at the very beginning of me making music, so it was an honor for those first things to work. But then when you start looking at it as a career, it can't be just one-offs. You now have to think more about it. And so I stepped away, and then the transitional part kind of kicked in with myself and Elias, who was a producer behind this project Down Dance, but then what became Happiness as well. And we were working one day, and he started playing piano, and I instantly sang instead of rapped, and that was like a shock to me. And at that point, I had written a song faster than I had to that day.
Rapped the song.
And and we rapped it, and I was like, oh, this is cool, this is different, but this is cool. And he was like, yo, you know what this makes me think of? And I was like, well, what? And he was like, Coldplay song Shiver. And I was like, so in my mind, I was like, okay. Because I wasn't actively listening to Coldplay. It's like, okay, so he wasn't. But like, he wasn't cool with my response. So he was like, no, let me play it for you. So he played Shiver for me, and I was like, oh shit.
Wow.
Oh shit, Coldplay is crazy. So then I became like a super stan of Coldplay, and that Parachutes album and Rush of Blood to the Head were like soundtracking the entire creation of Happiness itself. And what I recognized in their music was that they were just being them, and Chris Martin is kind of like this little angel that landed on earth and is just so sensitive to what's happening around him that he was just like exercising those emotions. And it was nice to listen to that. For Fresh Ears, for me, for him, it's been his thing that he grew up with. For me, it was brand new. So these songs for me 20 years later somehow were like, yo, these are
life changing.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. They've been going strong.
It's like picking up on anything late. I still haven't watched like the Star Wars trilogy or whatever.
It's cool.
It's not a trilogy.
The new one just came out.
Yeah.
But that path to self-discovery in music, it has to help you translate it over as a writer, right?
Absolutely.
One thing that I've found is that just like trying on different hats, you may understand that, hey man, this shit just ain't for me, but I know how to fit it, I know how to style it, I know how to put it on someone else. So do you still like get in your R&B bag and rap bag like when you're writing for other people?
Yeah, so I don't think I actively sit down and write for other people. There are time periods when I jump in a session, and it might be trying to facilitate somebody else's thoughts and things like that. And at that point, to me, it kind of comes down to them telling their story and me helping in the best way possible. So it's kind of breaking down what they're going through, and it's stepping outside of what I think is right, and more so being like, well, I can contribute here, or say this, but does that feel right coming from your mouth? Because if I think something sounds good, like my Georgia peach don't fuck with peaches, maybe this person's like, well, my brand doesn't, allow for this. And so I think at the end of the day, in that creative space,
over that type of record, or et cetera,
whatever it is, whatever it might be. And so like at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to facilitating how they're feeling and interpreting it the best way for them. But I don't actively do that. I kind of sit down and make stuff for me, and my influences range. So sometimes I might jump into like a rap song, but I know I can't necessarily drop it now. But it's just sitting and waiting for that opportunity, or for that artist that might hear it and be like, yo, can I get this song? And you're like, I don't care.
I'm gonna pull back the veil a little bit. Shout out to Dylan.
Facts.
Dylan and I used to work together closely at Kid in the Corner, and I found a few of the songs that you had written with your time over at Kid in the Corner.
Yeah.
And just listening to those tracks, right? And then listening to Happiness. I was like, whoa, this cat like really just fucking has range.
Absolutely.
Well, like, can we expect any like hip hop or R&B songs coming from you in the future? Or
interesting you asked that. So I think what's
trying to get down on
right. Like what's interesting is like what's next for me is adding a little bit of that influence and injecting it back in, but consciously. And so like what I've kind of learned is, as I transition into the sound that I was at with Happiness, you start to want to grow within it, and you have to figure out what that is. So if it's a circle, it's learning how to push out but still make it fit. And so that's actually kind of being injected a little bit inside of things. So
all right, let's bring this home. So you just got back into smoking, right?
I did.
Whoa.
So this
is great.
Okay. So seeing as we're on the topic of music already, I want to transition right here into our raps and raps segment.
Okay.
I want you to describe your favorite rap verse of all time, or just point out your favorite rap verse of all time, or a moment in rap that really made you go, hey, I need to get busy as far as like penmanship, right? And we could talk about Take Care. We could talk about
absolutely
Spooky Black, right?
Yeah.
Talk about all those people, and then I want you to, as we maybe roll up, describe your favorite smoking experience. Do you remember like if it was a Swisher, or if it was a J, or whatever it was?
Yeah.
So start with the music.
Okay. So first and foremost, favorite rap time for me was the discovery of Kendrick Lamar, Young Nigga in Compton, his like project that kind of got him in the world with J-Rock. So like he's like 16 years old, and he makes this like
I haven't heard that one. I'm not gonna count.
Yeah, and that I heard that tape by accident on YouTube.
Yeah,
and I was like, yo, who is this dude that's kind of doing like slight voices and adding layers, and it's like all unrefined, but it sounds like he's like speaking from the heart.
Scoping
and
together.
And then he dropped like Compton State of Mind, and I was like, twist on, Empire State of Mind. But like really, in all honesty, it was like the moment I heard.
That's back when he did Compton State of Mind.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit before that.
Yeah.
But like for me, the moment of Section 80 dropping was like the first time that I can remember like calling out like, yo, this is hitting #1 on iTunes, and then like it did.
Yeah.
And so.
Because the music just resonated, right? On that one. Was cut you off on that one?
No, so ADHD.
Okay.
Yeah. So like to me, it was all the stories, man.
But get hounded.
Yeah. Like to me, he was such
gonna be like, what?
Yeah. he's like such a poetic artist, man, and tells these kinds of stories that he's not just telling his story, he's telling her story, and everybody else's, but doing so in a way that even if you don't relate to being from where he's from, you can't help but understand it and feel it.
Yeah. And it's getting real. Some analysts are like decoding his lyrics and understanding that the way that he's documenting times and trials in the U.S. and in Compton is a lot like Isaiah in the Bible.
That's fair. Yeah. Wow. I mean, there's this fire podcast, Dissect.
I love that.
That they're breaking down Kendrick's new project. Obviously, it's not new anymore, but
it takes time to dissect something like that.
Yeah. But like, I think even the moment when you recognize that Kendrick gets a Pulitzer off of To Pimp a Butterfly lets you know the arena that he's actually playing in.
Yeah.
And starts to kind of open up that it's not just Grammys that can be important. You know what I'm saying? There's other ways that your music can be valued in terms of awards and things like that. And I think that to me was like eye-opening, that damn, you can be a rapper or you can be just a writer or a singer, whatever it is, and be honored in a completely different space just based off of your storytelling, your ability to win people over that maybe don't even listen to your genre of music.
That's exactly why we encourage artists who just push the boundaries as far as like separating themselves from the crowd, which is why you're here.
Thank you.
I can piggyback. I can say one of my most championed verses has to be Drake's UGK.
Okay, yeah, Underground Kings.
Take my ground to the grave, I'm Underground King.
Yeah, that's fair.
That whole Take Care project.
I mean, honestly, I feel like what's really interesting about Drake, and I've had this conversation, over 1,000 times for sure, is the fact that like when you look at Drake's, I don't know, top 75 songs
in his discography.
Yeah, just in his discography alone, it's like 6 of them have music videos, or 7 of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that to me is immaculate in that, like, for Drake and his brand, it didn't require music videos to make the songs bigger. The songs themselves did all of the work.
Yeah.
And if he wanted to make music videos, the songs would be that much bigger.
Yeah.
Like the marketing isn't as big as the music is.
Yeah, well, because
it's
like
big, but
I think
sometimes you're kind of upset when Drake does a video because then it goes pop, and then you can't enjoy it.
Yeah,
with the other people who's randomly selected this to be their number one selection of the project.
And I think what's interesting about when you break it down like that in terms of like not having music videos, to me it just shows that like most music videos are to help boost a song's numbers or a value.
Yeah, it's promotional use.
But he doesn't have to spend the money on it because it's doing it by itself.
Yeah, I'm honestly the one thing that I appreciate most about Drake's music is his vulnerability. That was back in the days. Acura days.
No, you know what I'm saying?
I used to drive an Acura too and stuff like that, and it's like especially when he goes to the look what you've done, like look what you've done had my mom crying when she first heard it.
That's real.
Like she was just ecstatic that I was ecstatic that somebody was actually paying homage to the elderly that looked out for him, like when his mom was was a single parent and couldn't like really do it, so just paying homage to the people that helped him come up.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, by stamping that on the record at the end.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you have to go back and peep So Far Gone for his track Fear.
Okay.
Fear is about, man. Like it's extraordinary, man. I feel
Why
like
do I feel so alone?
Yeah.
Deep into the raps.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in general, man, there's like so much to be inspired by, and I can remember a time period when like I was in college just before I dropped out.
Shout out to all the dropouts.
Right, exactly.
Hey,
when Mac Miller was my favorite artist, man, and like, you know, obviously, rest in peace. Like, Kool-Aid and Frozen Pizza, to me, like, my roommate almost transferred, you know, roommates because I used to sing that every day. So like, even now, like Kool-Aid and Frozen Pizza, It's a Work of Art. I'm talking Mona Lisa. Like, for me, I could still do that back and forth because it resonated so hard.
Go get it.
So like,
give us a verse from you.
I just smoke weed.
You just smoke weed, so give us the favorite rap. Give us the favorite rap, bro.
You already know I'm rocking with Minties. All fucking day. We got one rolled up already.
Yes.
What I really wanted to like highlight before and why we're talking about weed is just, again, like why we started this podcast.
Fire.
It's, you know, it's about weed, it's about music, but like at the end of the day, it's just about like the vibrations that you receive from somebody.
Absolutely.
When you really like break down that barrier and chill with somebody, and like it's similar to the studio, like the connection when you smoke with a friend. Like,
pass me the weed, bro.
Yeah, here you go. This or the weed.
No, I was finna say, okay, true facts.
Yeah. And like, you know, happiness, like that is, I mean, that's a big word.
Yeah,
so it's like that's something that we really try to push. Yeah. Because the mental health of artists and people in our state, and just, you know, living paycheck to paycheck, just chasing your dreams.
It can be exhausting.
Your downs are real low. Your ups are great.
You gotta have a means to release.
Yeah. I mean, I think.
And there's a stigma about weed still to this day, even though it's like legal and all this shit. But like, we need to change that, and people need to understand that, you know, we're not just smoking to get high. You know, we're treating ourselves. We're self-medicating. A lot of people rely on prescription medicine. Yeah. And that's fine. We have nothing to say about that. Let's do what you got to do. But this is our medicine.
Yeah, I mean, I think by choice, you know, whatever you choose to do, understanding that it is something that it can be damaging to your body.
Absolutely.
And making
sure
that
is.
Making sure that you're responsible with whatever that it is that you're choosing to do.
In moderation.
And so understanding that is quite important, at least in my mind.
Absolutely.
And it's hard for me to tell anybody else what to do with their body. And so all I can, you know, say and suggest is just to be aware of yourself and understand that sometimes when we are down and going through what we're going through, sometimes some of our vices can actually be more damaging than it can be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. How has weed helped your process?
What's interesting is
is weed a vice? Is weed a vice of yours? Would you say?
No. So, for me, weed is like a great source of or tool for relaxation from time to time in terms of giving myself like a mental break.
Yes.
But in all honesty, like I prefer smoking outside of a studio session. I prefer it on just relaxation. Which just to me, like, I don't.
Relaxation.
Yeah. I love it for like its relaxation quality.
So like, you know, from a mental standpoint, because I deal with the same thing. Like, my mind is always going.
Yeah.
Thinking about things. I'm like, so it's almost like a form of meditation for me.
Yeah.
Like, I can kind of like step back from myself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I took a break for about a year and a half, maybe like a year and change. Okay. And I came back on the day that I was about to leave from around being all my best friends in Chicago, and I knew I was gonna start smoking again in Chicago, in LA.
In LA, yeah.
And I didn't want to come back. And smoking,
lungs.
well, not even baby lungs, but I didn't want to come back without being around them. So, you know, I always used to like joke around in the smoking circle and just be like, "Damn, y'all don't respect my past," because everybody knew I stopped smoking.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. So,
well, this is an occasion then.
Hell yeah. And we glad we got you out to the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, like, it was just like kind of joking around. It got passed to me, and I like hit it. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, he's back smoking again. And it was like,
in this
thing.
Yeah. And it felt good, man. But like, more than anything, like, I just enjoy it for its relaxation quality.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't necessarily need it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I don't seek it out actively.
Okay.
But if I'm in a setting and I feel like I'm in the right vibe.
And what's your preference, blunt or J? What would you smoking right there? You could make you could call it all
nice
right
mix.
there and be like, what? Minties is fire.
I ain't even gonna lie, I didn't even know what Minties was, but this shit hitting though. Yeah.
Organic mint leaf.
There
wrap,
we go.
Imported from Germany.
He just called it audible. Minties is that way to smoke, man.
It is the
www.
backwood.
I don't know if you want to hit it.
Hell yeah, I want to hit it.
Yeah, I know. I ain't want to interrupt.
Finish the website, sir.
Yeah.
www.mintiesraps.com.
Yeah, man. So it's interesting for sure.
So the reason that we're trying to, push these in our brand is because a lot of people smoke tobacco with their weed.
Oh yeah, that's just crazy.
Blunts. So this is what he's doing. Even just this right here, the tobacco leaf, the Fronta.
Yep.
It's great. It's a part of like history of hip hop, especially.
Yeah.
But it's just another additive, So it's like if you're smoking weed, cool, but then you're smoking, you're not smoking cigarettes, but we're almost there. There's nicotine. In a lot of that stuff. So I just like to educate people on just smoking the flower and then maybe something else natural.
Yeah.
Mint leaf is a great alternative that we found.
Okay, so like is Minties like something that you can like scoop at a specific place? Because obviously, like when you like have it.
Yeah, so they're a growing brand, and we're helping to push that.
Yeah. If anybody wants to get their hands on some Minties, you can directly hit us up. We'll refer you over to some links.
We can put you in the right spot.
Some local areas where you can pick them up.
They'll ship it right to your house.
Yeah, and you can get them for $15 a box online.
Okay, see?
So yeah, man.
There it is.
We're gonna push it. We're gonna have them anytime anyone's around us and pulls out a blunt. I'm like,
but you'll be good,
Minties?
bro. By the time you leave here.
Yeah. Fine.
You'll have some Minties
right now. Right now, just look at the camera and say, "I smoke the Minties."
I smoke the Minties, boy.
So now he gonna get a box in the mail. So
Fire. Yeah,
you might just get a package.
Hey, man, bless me. I love blessings, bro. I'm grateful for them, so I'm with it.
Blessings on blessings on this holiday season.
I give y'all a little
Christmas
teaser.
special.
We've been in talks about a Minties Fronto trying to come out. So hopefully I'll be on the engineering side of that, so we can make it right. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be fire. That'd be fire.
Hell yeah. Okay.
So then how long have you guys had this?
So this is season 2.
This is season 2.
You are an honorary season 2 member.
Yeah.
And honestly, like this, just go back to the history of how this started, like just me and Shah just hanging out, having crazy conversations. We started just recording audio, and then we just realized like how many fucking dope friends we have.
Yeah.
And we were just like, there's no platforms that are putting these people on in the right way.
And the reason we're friends is because we share the same interests. We have the same taste.
That's important.
And weed.
Okay.
Taste buds.
Taste buds. Okay.
Buds with similar tastes.
Okay. I like
music and food. Actually, Ghetto and I also went vegetarian at the same time.
Wow.
As well.
Wow. How was that? How is it?
We're still going. It's pretty dope. I think for me, I'm all the way there. So.
Okay. Fine.
I feel good. My body feels good. I didn't do it out of like any particular reason. I just kind of tried it, and then the shit was great. So I think that's back to you.
Yep.
What are some spots around here that you've like found? Anything near the crib that you've like eaten at that you're like?
Oh yeah, man. Okay,
that's what you want to transition to our top shelf segment.
Okay,
where you hold that shit up. Where you talk about some shit that you found either in LA, Chicago, around the world. On your travels.
He's a traveler. We need one from LA. We need one from Chicago for sure.
Okay.
That's just fire.
Yeah, so from LA, my favorite spot that I kind of hit got introduced to me through a homie named Darren. And
I got a homie named Darren.
Yeah. I mean,
I got a homie named Darren.
Okay.
She's crazy. It's probably the same homie.
Out there fire people. This is super fire. But he brought me to a place called Dollar Hits.
Okay.
And Dollar Hits is like a Filipino spot. And they have like their food on skewers.
Okay.
And they're $1 a piece, no tax.
Wow.
Bro. And then they like
that sounds like a hookup right there. I know what that shit is. That's a hookup.
And it's in Filipino town at Echo Park, and they have like little mini grill stations outside of their restaurant.
Okay.
Ooh.
And so you like once you buy your skewers, whatever you buy, they dip them for you in like some kind of sauce.
Okay.
Then you go to the
secret
grill.
sauce.
Yeah. Then you go to the grill and throw it on the grill for as long as you want to cook it.
So you can make it well done if you want it. You can do whatever the hell you want.
It's so fire.
Can you get on? I get some vegetables with
You
the secret sauce?
You can.
We're going.
We're going right after this.
Say less. Also, to complete the top shelf segment, are there any indie artists that you're listening to?
Oh, way too many to name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just start with like.
Let's start with.
Yeah.
Okay. First favorite. Dijon is at the top of my most listened.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys know Dijon or not.
Okay, no. But give us a song so we can search it on all streaming platforms, SoundCloud, whatever.
Nico's Red Truck.
Nico's Red Truck by
Dijon.
Yeah.
That's the hit.
Top
that's
shelf song
a
right
hit.
there.
That's a banger. And another artist I'm a huge fan of, Marcos G.
Marcos G. Give us a song by Marcos G.
Damn, it's between Homebody and Single on the Weekend. I'm gonna go
Homebody by Marcos G.
Yeah.
Single on the Weekend by Marcos G. That's a top shelf song right there.
He's fired.
Let me put you on to some game, man. Raining in LA.
Yeah.
By Reggie Beckton.
Okay.
It's my brother. He records his well. You feel what I'm saying? We write together on we've written together on prior projects. Continuously a writing partner of mine and brother. Shout out Reggie. Gato, you got one?
Shout out Reggie. Yeah, I do. This cat, West Period. This is track My Benz.
Oh, we were about to cop a crib. I mean, not a crib together, but live together before I.
Oh shit!
Yeah. And we only met
crazy.
Once or twice through my homie Garrett, who was like, "Yo, I got another friend who's trying to look for an apartment." It didn't end up working out.
Okay. Yeah, I just discovered his shit.
Yeah. He just dropped new shoes.
He's
the other
tight
day.
as fuck, man. He's got some punk vibes to him and shit. I really fuck with him. Like, I know he's been doing. Maybe he did some shit with Vic Mensa recently. I saw him.
I'm not 100% certain. I just saw the
crazy,
new music video for his song "New Shoes."
Oh yeah, that's right. That just dropped too.
And the aesthetic of that was super fire. He always comes out with his
visuals are
his look is mad interesting, and his energy is also matching that interesting vibe.
Definitely.
And so it feels one of a kind. So
definitely,
shouts to him for sure.
Shouts to him.
Yeah.
I really got to get back into the project because as far as like the production and stuff.
Absolutely.
You said it was from your
just
homie.
one person. So my homie S2Ep9.
Yeah,
let's clap it up. Let's make some noise for
Elliot
S2Ep9.
For sure. Yeah, that's crazy. That's just mad important.
Because when I heard it, I was like, "Wait, is this a band? Is this?"
No, we just went really hard. So like his background is band. So like how I said, like for him, like Coldplay was not new. He comes from that world, and so we kind of meet in the middle with what I was doing, and then inserting myself into his world, and then us two kind of in the trenches working. So, he was strong enough on guitar, strong enough on piano, strong enough with drums and whatnot, and then also just helping with like the writing and if I got
he
stuff.
Probably sings too. Like I wouldn't be
He
surprised.
does something what I call French silk.
French silk?
Because he just has like a very low tone.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing it one day. And so like he just has like this really super rich low tone, almost like You ever listen to you good? You ever listen to the XX? I don't know if any of you guys have ever listened to the XX. Okay. In the XX, there's a dude named Oliver who has like a super low tone. And Elias to me has something similar like that, and I remember hearing that once and being like, "Yo, I love your tone." Y'all gotta show me
that so I can hear.
Yo, the XX, yeah, it's fire. It's just like a bass tone that's mad velvet and like hard not to just be like you're coating and hugging my ear, type shit. And it's fire.
I understand that.
So yeah, he's working on his own shit as a solo artist as well as a producer, facilitating other visions. So shouts to him for sure.
Seriously, shouts to him. So like. Is he now part of your process for everything now? Like I would imagine.
Yeah, so like for him and I, he just moved to LA as well.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. So
and he moved with his girlfriend.
From
Wendy,
where?
Chicago.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So he just moved here and he's kind of getting his feet set. and working on what he's working on. And one of the greatest things about being out here was that both of our doors could be opened up to working with other people and learning our to expand our processes and learn how to then come back and add the things that we've grown from working with other people. I mean,
wasn't that the intention? Can you talk about like
absolutely
just, like, your reasoning and what, like, when does an artist from out of town know that they should be in LA? Like, what was that like for you?
Okay, so for me, I have started to do music trips to LA since 2016.
Okay.
And and like it would just be anything from like.
Can you tell us like the first time you came out here? Like, what was that experience?
Absolutely.
Like,
So again, it would just be like for me, it would be like, I don't know, you'd land, you get out here, and you're kind of just like, oh, okay, this is cool, and then you're popping in and out of sessions, and then from there.
A lot of studios.
Yeah, I mean, like what initially LA was a lot of sessions. Yeah. Very little time being able to go to restaurants, see the sights, But the productivity level was so much higher in a pocket of time between 4 days to 10 days that I was like, oh, I want to be here.
Versus back home.
Yeah. But what was important was that I got a chance to become an independent thinker in a place where there wasn't a whole lot of that. Like, the industry is not in Chicago. So you kind of get a chance to create away from that and then bring that back. So when I started thinking about the idea of being here, I had to get right as an artist in terms of knowing my vision so that I wouldn't be in a room with somebody who's like, I don't like your music, you should do it this way, this is the way you're going to do your music. And then you're so underconfident that you decide to go that route. So I had to feel set as an artist creatively. And then I had to get set mentally, in terms of just not being vulnerable as a person and being comfortable with myself and not being in spaces where there's a house with 3 elevators and now all of a sudden you're like, oh, look at my shitty apartment. Yeah. And, I feel anxiety. Yeah. And then I had to be set financially. Yeah. So I didn't like get out here and in 3 weeks be like, hey, Mom, can I come back and live with you?
Exactly.
And so that was my 3-step process, and each of those different things lined up, and now I find myself out here. But
hard work, dedication is what got you.
We saw that you drove too, though.
Yeah. So I mean, I wanted to drive because for me, I'd never really seen a lot of different flyover states.
Road tripping.
So it was nice to do that with my homie Garrett, and then do it in a process where we weren't looking to do it in 3 days. Yeah. We did it in 8 or 9. Okay. So we just kind of got to spend a day at the canyon, spend a day here, and that was the kind of way to appreciate the U.S. in terms of the scenery and landscape. Yeah. And I connected so heavily to it that the trip itself was just exciting.
Amazing.
Yeah. It didn't feel like I was driving to LA. It felt like I was just like experiencing the country.
Yeah. Because instead of just like jetting over here, you get to realize how far you're really going away from home. And all the different things that are in between you get to hit the
boring places, and then in between everything and the lull, and have the conversations and reflect and things like that. So it was honestly like a great mental kind of trip as well, where you kind of get to learn yourself.
Road tripping is like my favorite thing. Like, I don't care where I'm going, just get me in the car, a little bit of weed, we driving, like listening to some good music. I love that shit, man. That's my favorite thing.
I'll just like, we were just looping playlists at first, and then I'm obsessed with audiobooks.
Audiobooks, podcasts. This one,
so we ended up doing using my Audible, and then just watching or listening to these 3 thriller books. Okay. Hell yeah. It was mad exciting.
That's tight.
Yeah. It was great. Then the rest of our trip was just a bunch of like laughs and jokes until we got tired of each other. And then
memories, man. Shit.
Yeah.
I drove from Florida when I moved here.
Fair.
So I feel you. I didn't take 8 to 9, but I think we did it in like 4 or 5.
True.
But it's the same thing, man. It's just
Where
like
at Florida?
It's amazing. Tampa.
True. I'm from Miami.
Oh shit. 305. Stand up.
Yeah. That's the vibe. You know what I'm saying? Miami is where it's at, man. That's home for sure.
So how old were you when you were in Miami?
So the odd thing, born in D.C.,
Oh, whoa.
Move to. I was 1, so like I wasn't there long for me to actually like really appreciate it. Moved to Ohio, which is where my
DC too.
Fire. Moved to Ohio, which is where my family is from. And then from Ohio to Illinois at 5, and then moved down to Florida for tennis at 11-ish, 12, and then from there till I was like 20.
Oh wow! Hell yeah! So you got to enjoy Miami then.
Mm-hmm.
That's the prime age.
Yeah.
Shit.
All the years of like mistakes, jokes, laughs, tears, everything in between. You're trying to discover who you are. So that's why it feels like home. But like Chicago feels like home because I became an artist there. I didn't become an artist in Miami, and Ohio is home because that's where my heart is at with my family.
Yeah, definitely.
But also that's where LeBron was at, and like.
All right, so you back home in LA where LeBron is at. I like that.
Well, if you think about it, I lived in Ohio.
If you think about it, Appleby is essentially LeBron.
Just following LeBron around.
Or LeBron is following me. I was down in Florida first.
Let's LeBron's follow.
Right. Like for me, what's interesting, because I grew up playing tennis, I didn't think about another sport. Mm-hmm. And I remember being 8 or 9, and I used to get the East Bay magazines that came with the Sports Illustrated. And
with the And1 basketball shorts and shit in there.
Yeah. So I cracked that open, and then I couldn't afford anything in there. We were broke. Threw that magazine to the side, and when I threw it over to the side, behind it was a face of another black dude, but like wasn't much older than me. Okay. And I was like, Mom, like, who is this? It's like, baby, that's LeBron.
Shit.
Well, how do you like? What does he do? Oh, he plays basketball. Yeah. And I was like, where's he from? She was like, oh, he's from Ohio. Like, he's not far from the hometown.
Akron. Right?
And so I was like, I need to see it. And here I am being like thinking only tennis, and then I see this dude that looks not much, older than me on the cover of a magazine. And I go to one of his high school games, but it was too big to be in a high school arena, so I had to play him in college. And so from then on, if he's the introduction to basketball for me, and then didn't really have off-court issues, it was the perfect sort of idol that you never meet. Mm-hmm. Because he was a role model in his efforts on court, and then by not being a distraction off the court, that's a way of being a role model without having these incidents come out, or LeBron at the club wilding out. Man. You know what I'm saying? It was amazing. So for me to watch, to watch him go from playing in Ohio, which is a hometown, and then to play in Miami, which is a hometown, and LA, which is now my new hometown.
Welcome home.
Introducing number.
Right.
Hell yeah.
33. Right.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm gonna light this next one. But before I light this next one, I am getting a little chilly, so I'm gonna bring in the magical white hand from the left. Toss me that hoodie.
Oh yeah, merch time.
Boom. I just want to shamelessly plug the merch. The merch. Available in our bio.
Oh, you gotta,
We got that Tastebuds merch.
That's hard. I didn't even see that.
Ghetto, you got yours? It's right behind you, buddy.
Oh, yeah, I do. I got too high. I forgot it was here. Tie-dye season.
Yo.
Tie-dye hoodies.
I'm obsessed with this green one, though. Not even gonna lie, that's like my favorite color.
Yeah,
so.
on duty.
Oh shit.
So yeah, basically, I mean, we're not really sticking to certain ones right now. We're just kind of Shaw's just going off and designing the hell out of these.
I've done that.
And so all of them are either made to order or one of a kind. So order them while you can, because they might not be around for long.
Facts.
New editions are coming out.
I was trying to keep my head.
We might have some ugly sweaters.
Yeah. That's fine. You good? You good? You alive? Yeah. Welcome back.
And also, artists, just know that merch is a big part of your brand.
It is.
Sha, I'm telling artists that merch is a big part of their brand. Yeah. So take hold of that. And if you need any assistance with that, hit up the boy, Sha Infinite. Yeah. Because he is a master at this shit. And
Sha Infinite, a.k.a. the partner pressing, man. Let me get you right.
Press. And we about to take a smoke break. And we're going to fire up that Fronta. What's good? Take a smoke break, and we'll be back with y'all in just a minute.
This is the Honey Bourbon Backwood.
Damn.
Right. Brought to you by the Tastebuds Company merchandise. Boom. So we're back.
Yeah.
Appleby is here.
I am indeed.
One thing that I wanted to touch on with the music. Let's jump back into the music, right?
Yeah.
I'm high as shit now.
Hey, look, I got something
if you need help.
No. I have something.
He's high as shit.
I have something as well.
Smoke break be fucking us up. It's good.
Right? So your music is heavily received to the listener. That last track, Young Lost Love.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like we actually had someone earlier said that they had like covered it. Do you get like a lot of covers from that song, or?
No way, somebody covered it?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's like she said that she had it on like or she found it on like a prominent playlist on Spotify. So
okay, tight. Oh. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, I completely forgot about that. She's coming next for our next interview.
That's fire. Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's fire.
She's
fire. From New Mexico.
That's tight. Well, you have to let me know. Mm-hmm. That particular song itself, I made with Elias, obviously, and it was made probably the most broken of sessions in terms of like, here's a session here, then 2 months later here's a session here, whatever. And so it was made over a longer span of time, probably the longest one on the project.
That's extremely
yeah, and like we weren't really thinking about the process, like it wasn't like a formula, so like the chorus and things like that doesn't even have like audible words, so it's just all of an emotion, and I remember listening to that and thinking like, I thought it was cool, but I didn't think about it being like anything grand. I just thought like, oh, this is different than I've heard,
right?
And I was just trying
to like a patch that like maybe you intended to
rewrite
or work on, or it was just something that you worked on and it was just like, wow, that's perfect as is?
So like, I mean, it went through excuse me, it went through various edits. Got me.
It happens to the best of us.
It went through various stages, and then you kind of are just trying to make sure that you capture the magical moments while also being intentional about what it's sounding like and what it feels like. And so
absolutely,
when we added, like, here you go, we added the kids laughing in the backdrop, that was like a magical moment. It was like, oh, this needs to stay. And
was that like a happy accident, or what?
Well, no. So like the lyric in there that talks about me thinking about our children, and things like that. It was like, oh, I love when you can set a scene, and
you was in your Kim bag.
Like I just like started looking back and being like, oh, I love soundscapes.
I was about to say,
so like when you hear the children laughing, you instantly get
puts you
like,
there.
And so for a song that was just kind of riding off of emotion, it was like, oh, this seems tight. Doesn't really have any rhyme or reason. It goes all the way through, but it felt right. And so everything about that song was just going off of a gut instinct and not really thinking about anybody. And then you start to get the responses.
It organically lined up.
It makes sense.
Ghetto, you had a question regarding music?
I'm a studio guy. Like, I'm in the studio all the time. So like, I just like, for me, I'm curious. Like, can you set the scene of like your ideal studio session and like?
Man, jeez. Okay, ideal setting.
Because we could get it popping.
Ideal setting for me is anything that's lax. So I don't. Being in big studios that are super nice are cool for pockets of time. In terms of just being like, yo, I can't believe this live room is this big. I can't believe,
because usually it's not as chill.
But it's all the same thing. So like the studio can be 10,000 square feet, but the magic happens in in a certain area. So like it's the same thing as if you're in this space. So to me, I love these spaces because it's much more intimate. So I don't feel like I'm experiencing a giant space. I feel like I'm just in my own world. And it's controlled. So
that's always how I like to feel when I'm recording as well. I like to feel like I'm giving people my world versus I'm inviting people into my world versus the world is exploiting me in a way. Like, and sometimes like the big studios give me like,
you just don't feel at home. You don't feel at home.
I mean, I'm on like a microscope or some shit.
It's a little like corporate music. Feels
so
like a little bit.
I think it's fun. I think it's like I said, like it's tight to be in those
great
spaces.
Equipment.
But
I mean, shit.
My ideal studio space is a bedroom.
bedroom studios or living room
studios. And in a house space, you're allowed to almost be able to take a break. So like whenever you hit the wall, you can just pull up and watch a TV show, and it doesn't feel like I'm wasting time or not being as creative, because you can take 10 minutes away, watch a TV show, and in the first 5 minutes be like, oh my God, I'm inspired, I got the verse now. And it's because you're in a relaxed enough atmosphere to do that. And for me, relaxation comes back to that space. Yeah. And it's probably because that's where I started.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel my most genuine self in terms of just hitting my head up against the wall lyrically or trying to figure out a song.
Yeah.
I love when I'm doing it in my bedroom.
Yeah. Gato and I also like to have like cartoons or something in the background.
Visuals. I feel like I just like that was like a paid advertisement for what I wanted to say. But like that, I'm an engineer, so like I'm like I try to sell my space as a vibe too. I'm like, you can come here, just like you said, like you could take a mental break, you could walk into the backyard, you could shoot the basketball, you could pet the dog. Like it's a vibe, and we have all the gear here you need to make your shit sound good. Okay. But I'm saying like it's a vibe. Like I want to provide that. Like I want to be like a studio designer. Like,
that's fair. That's fire.
I want that shit to be fire.
It's
I feel what you mean about like the corporate life. Like,
I mean. So and I think this day and age with studio setups, man, some home setups are better and more efficient.
Yeah,
than
definitely more efficient. 100% more efficient.
And then when you have things like Billie Eilish and pop stars that are really doing it out of a bedroom, it allows people to see that.
Shout out to the mix engineers.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They go hard, crazy. But also the creation of bedroom pop changed the aesthetic of sound. So whatever you're really shooting for sonically is cool. Like Tyler with Cherry Bomb being like, I'm gonna make distorted basses and things that aren't meant to sound right. And however it does, but we're definitely in the no rules
experiment
world.
Yeah.
And so buttons. I think at the end of the day, getting good takes on any setup.
Yeah. Any level, yeah.
Yeah, it's more than enough. And then obviously the worse off it is, hopefully the better the engineer is. But at the end of the day,
for sure. That makes sense.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's about the music connecting, and a lot of people's first songs, mix-wise, aren't great. Like it's not about it's sounding great. It just either caught somebody's attention or it's just a special song.
And, like I've heard some songs that are not mixed great, but they're such good songs, and it doesn't matter.
No, you can have I've heard voice memos to me that are just like spectacular music, and you're just like, well, damn, this doesn't need much more. It could do it if it wants to.
Speaking of voice memos, what do you have new coming up? I know you got some voice memos on your phone. Some song ideas.
Yeah. So, there's a bunch of new stuff that I'm working on. Hopefully the focus is to kind of line it up for it to create its own world, just like I did with happiness, but also sort of break down what happiness is, like as a definition for me, because I lost some of it post the project being out. And so you then want to start speaking about the pressures that you're putting on yourself and things like that, and how it can be to your detriment at sometimes, and sometimes it can help you out because it can make you write a better song.
The stresses and the pressures of making and delivering again. It weighs heavy on some people.
So it was like nice for what's coming up to kind of be focusing internally.
We're definitely really excited for that.
Really trying to hone in on that, and I'm in that like writing phase now where you're just like, oh, I can't do no wrong.
Hell yeah.
And that's a good feeling, but but then you'll wake up tomorrow and be stuck and be like, oh, I'm the worst creative ever.
Really?
But that's the ups and downs of music. But I'm in that phase right now where things are going well and the vision is clear. So I try to maintain that and see how long that lasts.
Back to that studio vibe. The reason why I brought up like the fact that we have a Rugrats and stuff like that in the background, we understand that you are a TV show guy.
Man, I am.
So you got something running back there.
Are there any TV shows that you'll like have up in the studio session, or are they just like too distracting when you just like
you have to watch them?
Right. So I think right now most of the sessions I'm in have just been focusing deeply on the music. But some sessions where it's just a random day, or the vibe is just like not about the music, or you want to have that additional supplement of
just
energy.
An organic moment.
I end up watching a lot of indie films, so a lot of things that are like Sundance related films, or just things that to me are just underneath glamorous, and a lot of it is where I find like it being most genuine. And then the only thing that's probably mainstream that I'm a huge fan of in terms of maybe a session is Interstellar.
Oh yes, without sound.
Yeah. Fire. So like for me, that's probably the one mainstream film that I probably would have on in the backdrop. But that's a joint.
What's you said like that was like your second, like if you weren't doing music, you'd want to do something in TV and film.
Yeah.
Like,
so
what was the second passion?
It is screenwriting.
It's still gonna happen. Screenwriting.
Yeah. So like
Beautiful.
one of the things that was interesting was that I was trying to screenwrite before I started making music. So I was writing a lot of spec scripts, which are just like fake scripts created in an attempt to sell the idea for something or whatever.
Tastebuds short film coming soon.
And I used to do that for Futurama, which was like my favorite cartoon at that point in time. And I felt like I knew those characters, so I could give voice to them. But I was watching interviews, which is kind of what I do frequently.
Okay.
And I was watching an interview of a screenwriter who talked about like his start, and that like he had a script. And a lot of what screenwriters' career isn't really in your hands, like in terms of your growth and your resume building. So he talked about like how his one script that he worked on for like years finally sold it after, let's say, 6 years of making it. And then it got 2 years in development. It's finally about to get ready to grow, and it gets killed. And so you talk about like 8 years into this thing, your baby, and it doesn't come out.
Yeah.
And then for him, his idea has been sold, but he can't sell the end product because it being canceled. And for him, while it was a major setback, he was perfectly fine going and writing another. And he ends up being successful. But to me, when I was looking at that, I was like, I don't know if I can sign up for that as my journey. In terms of me being like, am I doing this for me, or doing it for the purposes of like being successful, or just finding something to just identify with.
Right.
And that wasn't my path after seeing that.
Yeah.
And so I stepped away because I felt like I couldn't sign up for that. But with music, I'm in it for me in terms of my therapeutic side of it, what I get from making it.
Yeah.
So the idea of making it as an artist isn't my first interest.
Yeah.
So whatever that journey is, if it takes you 5 years, if it takes you 10 years, if it takes you 2,
it doesn't matter because you're still passionate
and
about
I
it.
found that for me. So like screenwriting wasn't that, but it might be in the future.
That's
when
close.
a bit of
runner up.
Yeah. And like you never know in terms of like once your brand is more established and you take time to be like, oh, I have my resources that can be this.
Yeah.
You can connect with somebody and bring some of your ideas that you had in a different space, but now you have the resources or the financial means to.
Yeah. I think you see a lot of artists do that once they make it. They kind of like
branch
take
out.
a step back from music for a second.
Stay limitless.
Kind of maybe do another thing that they've always wanted to do.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like for me, it was seeing Tyler. Obviously, you know how rambunctious they were when they came into the industry.
Yeah.
But not only was that like a blueprint, for them, it was also Tyler being able to capitalize in corners of the world that we weren't thinking in terms of the music industry, especially for kids his age. So, like for him creating the app and then creating a festival and having the TV shows and all this kind of stuff, like it just becomes like, oh, you don't have to think just in a two-dimensional space of just music. It can be like, oh, I can use this or I can use my second and third and fourth passion. And he's just one of the individuals that can do it all at the same time. I don't think everybody is capable of doing that. But I think that's commendable in terms of just being able to have a successful festival and successful merch and successful TV shows and music that's working and everything else. You're just like, oh, tight.
I see my creativity as like an appetite. I feed it different things all the time. Whether it be like merch production, whether it be music. I write treatments, whether it be that.
Crazy.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like different shit.
Yeah, you have access to whatever and
gotta do it all.
You can.
It's like when you're a kid and you just wanted to like you had an idea and you're like, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. What do you mean?
Yeah. It wasn't a question.
Yeah.
And that's almost because like you feel like you have so much time on your hands and a little bit less stress. To where you make the space to be like, why wouldn't this be cool? Why wouldn't this be fun? Why shouldn't I do this? But like as an adult, you're kind of like, is this worth my time? Damn, bills. Damn, my girl messing with me. Damn, da 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 da. You're just like,
and whichever form that you don't think about any of that, is the one that you stay dedicated and committed
and
to.
Happiness.
Happiness. Back to it.
Since this conversation is getting a little deep, so I just want to take it a little bit deeper. Just because, like, you said, you know, about the lows after, like, trying to deliver once you, like, have a project out and stuff like that. We had, like, a recent death in the music industry.
Absolutely,
Juice WRLD.
Yeah, man, rest in peace. That's crazy.
I think it's something we have to speak on.
Absolutely.
He's young.
Yeah, no,
his music said exactly how he felt.
Yeah, I think what's interesting in this time period, man, is like we're never more aware of each other than right now, and it's kind of hard and heartbreaking when you're aware of what this person's going through, and as a fan, for a lot of us, they're not reachable. So despite being super close to somebody as we are seeing them post every day, I'm no closer to them than somebody who doesn't have internet. Exactly. And so when you do see that up close and you're watching mistakes that can lead to somebody's passing, it can be very hard because you still don't think about them actually passing until they do. And I think the biggest thing are all the people that he affects on a daily basis, that aren't just about the music fans, but I think about like the family, the brothers, the sister, the girlfriend, that they're losing their loved one for life as well, but they're losing the physical, the offline. And that's like the most heartbreaking thing, because those are the people that'll kind of feel it on a day-to-day physically, more than us as the fan who just had it. Via
it definitely affects the fans. It'll probably affect them for a while, but I get what you mean. It's like anything, like when you take your life, it's like you're not just affecting yourself.
And so it's kind of heartbreaking. The hope is in time, as everybody takes their appropriate time to process that the people that do things that maybe aren't the healthiest to do, kind of take these different things into consideration as they move forward, whatever your version of moderation might be, or whatever you're going through. I think at the end of the day, trying to talk to somebody.
If there's anyone like out there in your life that is like either like you've never seen them sad, or just like that just you reaching out to them.
Well,
do something.
I think
just reach out to them. And say what's up.
Everybody, reach out to all your friends, even
even if you're an artist and you reach out to your fans and you like let them know, like on a personal level, like, hey, I'm going through something. For example, Lord, who doesn't post often, gets out a press release via notepad on phone and talking about like the passing of her dog, and like for her, she was making stuff that was upbeat, and that happening took such a toll on her that she decided to let them know, like, I have to take time away because I'm not in a good space to even be creating what I thought was next, what was right. And I think even being that honest about something like that is a way for the fans to be brought in to understand that they're still human as well. And we can forget that as fans of other people, because they become our heroes and then they feel less human.
It enables us to empathize.
So I think being honest with your fan base and your audience, and not always just highlighting your highs. It's being able to be comfortable enough to say, I'm not feeling great. And that's hard to do because some people don't know how to react when you say, hey, I'm struggling, because sometimes that person reacts negatively, and then that makes you fall deeper into your hole. And so, man, I think reaching out to anybody that you can reach out to, and know that there's somebody out there that's experiencing the same thing that you are at the same time. And they'll listen. So, reach out to anybody that you can and
find your happiness. And take control of it.
That's
straight
big.
Like that.
Hey man, this has been such a great conversation. Like I just want to thank you again for coming on. I want you to please let them know where they can find you, where they can find your project.
Sheesh, you can find happiness on every single platform possible.
Period.
The ones that I don't know about, it's probably there. It's down there in the bottom.
And real quick, tell them the best podcast in the game right now.
Hey, Tastebuds.
Tastebuds podcast.
Tastebuds, that's where it's
Appleby.
at. Yeah, you can find me.
We're gonna end it the OG style. Tongues out. Y'all ready?
Oh yeah.
Wait. So what is this OG style tongues out?
situation? Tongues out.
So
we on
rock out.
Real quick, tell them where they can find you real quick.
Absolutely. You can find me on every social platform underneath Apple's Got It, APPLESGOTIT.
There it is. Rock shit, right?
Yeah. Okay.
3, 2, 1.